Hey guys, welcome to the WalterFootball.com podcast. This is the April 25th, 2024 edition, and it's draft eve. The 2024 NFL draft will be going on in 24 hours from now. We'll probably be in the 20s in 24 hours, but yeah, it'll start in about 21 hours. So it's a lot to discuss with the draft. So I'm really looking forward to it with my special guest. Before we introduce him, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that mean a lot to us. If you really want to help support the show, we have super chats, super stickers. We had so many yesterday from Degeneron. Thank you so much, Degeneron. Also, John Sanders, Slew. We had so many yesterday, so it was really appreciative of that. It's a great way to support the show because YouTube ads pay nothing. So if we don't get any super chats, we'll make like $1 at most. So please consider super chats, super stickers, anything like that would be helpful. Also, if you want to help in another way, you can buy Jerks of the College Years, as you can see on the screen here on Amazon. This is my book, my third book, actually. If you like Jerks of the Week, this is basically that from my college years. So I spent 6 years at Penn State. So as you can imagine, I had a lot of stories to tell, a lot of crazy characters. Tom, who's a frequent guest on the show, he read it and he said he was dying of laughter at some point. So yeah, so consider buying this. Also in the merch store, we have a new t-shirt. Actually, I was trying to make a few t-shirts. We have this bloodbath t-shirt. So we were promised a bloodbath. Hopefully we don't get one, but if we do, you can celebrate it and you can have your bloodbath here. This picture was straight from AI, so I did not draw. So there's that as well. But we are joined today by Ben Wasley of Fantasy First Down. Ben, how are you?
Good, mate. Look, I'm super excited to be here. I got my notes. I got half a mandarin. I just read your jerk story about the supermarket the other day, and gosh, it was funny. I so identified with it. I was like, what is going on? This is exactly how it happens down here as well. But I'm super excited for tomorrow's draft. I'm like really grinding, trying to get everything together. There's so much stuff to talk about. It's like every single minute you go back online, suddenly there's like 5 new things to look at. It's really exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I feel like my updated mock draft, which is going to be released in the morning, or if you're up late like me, or if you're from another country like Ben, you can read it later in the
This
afternoon or evening.
afternoon.
Exactly, yeah. It'll be up soon, within about 4 or 5 hours. I think it's gonna have a lot of changes, and then we're gonna have one more change in the afternoon on Thursday afternoon. So yeah, a lot to discuss. Quack, he says, I bore witness to a lot of it, the book he's talking about. So yeah, again, please consider buying the book. Krausley says the draft season is crazy. Most of the mock drafters have trades in them. Yeah, I feels like almost every mock draft has trades, including mine. So we'll get to that. We'll do a mock draft. We'll look at Ben's mock draft, and I'll interject some stuff that I heard today in addition to it. Sue says, let's get this party cooking. Let's get this pup rolling. It's from the book. Angel says, Greek system big at State College. Yes, there's a lot. There's a lot there. So, yeah. And Marco says, do the Cardinals end up trading down? We'll get into that for sure. And Earth says, did Charlie change his mind a lot to first defense? I think he has Turner going 8 in his latest mock. I am very confident he's going to have Latu at number 8 in Thursday morning's mock. At least I hope so, because I made a lot of Latu bets. So yeah, we'll get to all that. So I thought we'd go over some news first. So Charlie Campbell sent over draft rumors that he's going to post. It's going to be posted in the morning, I think around 3 a.m. my time, East Coast time. But, on the show, I thought we'd go over it because, you guys are tuning in. So this is the latest, and maybe you can use this to your advantage for betting wise. And then Ben also sent some rumors he saw to me. So we're going to go over that too. And then our mock, and then some props. Okay. So Charlie's first item that he sent over, I don't know if maybe I should enlarge, but Charlie has something on the Jets here. There's a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C for the Jets. Plan A is to trade down. They would love to trade down. Unfortunately, they tried to trade down last year and it didn't work. They got stuck taking Will McDonald. But The plan here, again, to trade down. They don't have a second round pick, so it makes sense. Plan B is to draft Rome Odunze. You can get Rome Odunze, I think, at 12-1 on FanDuel if you want. Now, Odunze, there's a good chance he's gone. That's the caveat here. But if he makes it to the Jets, it sounds like he's going to be the pick. And then Plan C is Brock Bowers. So we've had Brock Bowers going to the Jets in our mock drafts for a while. I think he's the most likely pick. So you can actually bet both the Jets to take Brock Bowers and Rome Odunze. I believe I did that here, as you can see here. I'm going to post the draft props page. And I remember doing both today. So let's go to the Jets pick. So with the Jets 10th pick, you can take Brock Bowers at plus 150 and Rome Odunze at 12-1. And so you're going to profit no matter what happens there. Now, obviously, there could be a trade, but I still think this is the right way to go. So any thoughts on the Jets?
I think it's really interesting. It doesn't fully make sense to me. I mean, I know they don't have they don't have enough picks, and they do need to trade down to try to get picks. But it seems strange to me that they wouldn't take two such talented players as their first preference, especially when they clearly need to support Aaron Rodgers by giving him pass catches. So I find it surprising, but I've learned not to be too surprised by what NFL teams do these days.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We'll see if a trade happens. I mean, the thing is, like, every team wants to trade down, and it just rarely happens. The teams want to move up, but teams that want to move up for quarterbacks, it can happen. A team like the Colts, I think, that are desperate for a receiver, and they tried to trade for Jerry Jeudy. There are rumors that they wanted to trade for AJ Brown, who wasn't available ever. They might make the move for Brandon Ayuk. I feel like the Colts are going to make some sort of move. And like Charlie and I were talking earlier on just via text, and he was kind of stuck with what the Colts are going to do. In my mind, I feel like the Colts are a likely team for Odunze, like moving up to 9. I think that 9-15 seems like very likely to me, because the Bears, after they draft Caleb Williams, they're only going to have 3 picks left. And so I think they're desperate to move down, and the Colts want to move up. Seems like a very easy trade to project. Not that I want to project too many trades. I already have one. I don't want to do 2, but I think that could definitely happen.
Oh gosh, do I have a treat for you in my mock draft thing? Because I'm doing exactly that thing.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. So he has an entry about Kool-Aid McKinstry. Some teams have been critical of his workout habits and whatnot, and he was kind of the subject of some trade props or draft props last night that we're talking about. So he says the Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Las Vegas, and Philadelphia all gave him a thumbs up. However, the Colts did not. So if you're looking to draft or to bet McKinstry to be the first cornerback taken at like 55-1, I probably wouldn't go that route. But he could. I think he's still going to go under the 28.5 that we were talking about yesterday. Unfortunately, I have him mocked to the Jaguars, and it sounds like the Jaguars are not going to take him. I think they're going to go elsewhere. Maybe with another corner or something like that, but it doesn't sound like McKinstry is going to be the pick there. Do you have any idea on where you have McKinstry? I guess we'll get to your mock, but any thoughts on it?
I'm finding the quarterbacks really hard to insert, because there's clearly those teams that want to push up into that 12, 13, 14, 15 region to get guys like Mitchell and Arnold. But if you have the Colts training up, then all of a sudden there's a team that would probably take a cornerback who's no longer getting one. And we're not really sure what the Jaguars are doing. There's no one else that desperately wants a cornerback. It's hard to kind of find 3 cornerbacks in that cornerback needy teams in that region. A lot of the teams that kind of need him are guys like the Cardinals and and maybe Detroit later on. So it's really hard to project him too high up, I find.
Yeah, Detroit was one team I heard that likes him, but that is over 20.5, which is no good for us. We need them to go on. So the next item is that the Panthers are open for business at pick number 33, which is something you see quite often. The first pick in the second round is very valuable because teams have all day to discuss a possible trade. And, teams that miss out on quarterbacks, like maybe Denver, for example. I know they don't have a second round pick, but maybe they trade down and get a second round pick. Maybe they can use that second round pick to get Bo Nix. Maybe the Raiders could trade up for Michael Penix Jr. And who knows, maybe the Giants will want to make a move like that. So the Panthers are open for business. But Charlie also notes that the Panthers like Xavier Worthy and Xavier Leggett. So it's all about the Xaviers here for the Panthers. Also, Keon Coleman is also mentioned. So yeah, a couple of a few options there for the Panthers after they trade down, but it looks like they're going to be moving. So not really surprised there, right?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And Charlie generally nails the Panthers picks as well. So if he says the Panthers are trading down, there's a good chance they're interested. But it's nice to see they're looking for some sort of X factor of some description.
Mm-hmm. I was finally. He has also something on Cooper DeJean, but it's not. I don't know if it's going to fit for any props or anything like that. It's kind of Charlie talking about how they like Quinion Mitchell, but I feel like he might be redundant to what they drafted last year. Whereas the Gene is different. However, the Giants, he says the Giants are unlikely to take a quarterback in the early rounds of the draft. So I didn't think they'd take one at 6. I thought maybe second round would make sense with Spencer Rattler, or maybe third or fourth round Michael Pratt. I guess like third or fourth round is not really early, but so Charlie's saying that the Giants are unlikely to go quarterback in the first couple rounds here. So they don't value. He says they don't value JJ McCarthy very high. Penix would be potential pick if they got to the second round. So it's one of those guys. If he slips, he can get there. But yeah, it sounds like they're going to pass on quarterbacks in favor of other positions. So I think that's a good thing for the Giants because their roster is so depleted. Like even if they draft a quarterback, I think that quarterback is going to be doomed for failure just because there's nothing there.
Yeah, you've got to agree with that. There's a lot of people saying that they're expecting the Giants to trade up to the 4 spot, or they're expecting the Giants to do something wacky at 6, or they're expecting the Giants to trade back into the first round. That just feels like the Giants trying to make teams make bad decisions in front of them so that players fall to them. I really can't understand why they'd want to do that, but the more teams they can get picking quarterbacks in front of them, the better players they're going to get at their pick. So I think it makes sense for them to put those rumors out as well.
Eric pointing out that there was something about Dallas Turner slipping, which okay, there we go. So Dallas Turner could slide in the first round. Some teams have medical issues on Turner that could lend to go lower. So a short blip there. That's why I missed it. So thanks for the heads up, Eric. Yeah, I had trouble placing Dallas Turner. Like everyone seems to have him at number 8. But now we're going to have Latu there. I'm pretty sure Charlie's going to have him there on Thursday morning. And I think that Dallas Turner could be in for a slide. I was thinking like 15th to the Colts, but I think they trade up. So I'm kind of wondering where he goes now. I could see as low as like 21 to the Dolphins. Like if he does have these medical issues, he could be like, remember Jermaine Johnson, who was supposed to go like number 9 a couple years ago, and then he fell to 26. Maybe Dallas Turner falls, and that could be a nice over bet. I don't know if it's out there. Maybe someone could help us out who has access to FanDuel DraftKings. I don't in Pennsylvania. I had to drive to New Jersey today to make some draft prop bets. But if anyone has any info on Turner, that could be a nice bet there. But yeah, it looks like Dallas Turner is going to slide. A slight spoiler for Mock. Where do you have Dallas Turner? Do you remember?
Firstly, I'm just checking on Dallas Turner on DraftKings. The over is 9.5, but it's like minus 175. So I'm not sure that you're going to get very good value on that, unfortunately, even though I think it's a good idea. I have Dallas Turner falling as well. I really couldn't work out where to put him. I ended up having him going 16, and I had the Rams jumping up to take him there, which I don't think it really makes sense, but there's been a couple of people saying the Rams might get aggressive to move up, and I think they're probably going to take D-line. So if Dallas Turner starts to fall, they feel like the kind of team that could push up. You can imagine maybe the Seahawks, maybe Miami. It's really hard to place any team. I had the same issue with Jared Verse. I nearly left Jared Verse out entirely because there's just not enough teams that really need edge rushers, and it doesn't feel like a really particularly good edge rush class, so they may just fall.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I had Jared Verse falling out of the first round. I'm going number 35 to Arizona. So I just couldn't really place him. I have trouble placing Chop Robinson as well. So I think like Latu is the only edge rusher I'm confident with right now. $10 super sticker from Kevin. Sorry, I just saw this. Thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. You're always great. Yours very helpful here. And this is, like I said before, this is much better than the dollar we would usually get from YouTube ads. So it's, we just 10x'd our expected revenue. So thank you so much, Kevin. Let's get to some comments here before we get to your rumors. So let's see here. What is the first comment here? John saying, would the Jets trade with the Bills? Move down all the way to 28 if the price is right. Would the Jets and Bills really trade? Like I like you sometimes see trades within the division. Example is the Eagles traded Donovan McNabb to the Redskins. But I don't think the Eagles viewed the Redskins as a rival back then. You know, like obviously same division, but the Redskins weren't a threat to them. Like the Bills and Jets are both like top competitors for the Super Bowl this year. So I don't really see that trade happening. I can see the Bills moving up for someone else. Maybe the Rams at 19, maybe they trade down. I know the Bengals have some interest in trading down, not moving up though. The Bengals haven't traded up in 25 years in the first round. So maybe they'll move down. I can see Jacksonville, perhaps. Seattle was always a candidate to move down. They love trading down. So I think something in that range for Brian Thomas Jr. makes a lot of sense to me. What are your thoughts on this question?
I think it makes absolutely no sense for them to trade with the Jets. They basically just be making one of their competitors stronger in the near term when they're trying to win. I just don't think that makes any sense at all. I can imagine them trying to target that area around 20. I know that Miami, there's been talk about them possibly trading down if they miss out on the guys they're looking for. Graham Barton's mentioned, for example, as a guy they want there. And if he's not there, they'll trade down. It's hard to know how much to trust that one. But I can certainly see Miami trading down. I can imagine the Rams trading down, but there's a lot of people talking about them trading up as well. But I feel like that's the general range. I think it's also very possible we see the Broncos trade down and then trade down again with the Bills, because I don't know that the Bills really need to get all the way up to 12. There's nothing of value there for them, but they could be like a second jumping off point for the Broncos to move down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. I just didn't think of it because they were in that range, but that makes a lot of sense. John asking, do we have Odunze's vaccination status? I don't think so. Angel asking, with Lions writing hefty checks today, is Goff standing while the music stops? Lions go for quarterback. Well, remember they drafted Hendon Hooker last year and on day 2, and they like him. Now he didn't play last year because he was coming off the injury, but now he's going to be healthy. So I think Hendon Hooker is in potentially in their long-term plan. So I don't see them drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, agreed. There have been a lot of rumors from a lot of people saying that Jared Goff will get a contract at some stage, just not immediately right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Chris saying, I noticed you did not offer to answer any questions this evening. I will always answer any question truthfully, just as long as it doesn't get my co-host canceled. Now, I can't be canceled myself because I'm self-employed. I fund my own stuff. There's no one to fire me. So, and plus, I don't give a damn. So, I'll answer anything. I don't know what Ben's status is employment-wise, so let's not try to get him in trouble, but if within reason, I'll answer it today. But next time I'm on my own, I'll be on my own tomorrow, so you can ask me anything tomorrow.
I'll answer anything. I'm open.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Pollyanna says 6.5 trades in the first round for plus money seems like a no-brainer. What are your thoughts on this? We had a lot of questions about this yesterday.
Yeah, this is what I was actually going to ask you about when I saw this, because it seemed interesting to me. Like on paper, you think there's 32 picks, 6.5 trades. You're talking about a trade every 5 picks or so, and you're probably going to have at least 2 in the first 10 picks. I think that makes sense to go over there, but it's not one I'd feel really strongly about. I wouldn't be wanting to put my house on it. I just think that that's a one that probably going to make you a little bit of money when you think about the expected outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to go over. Andrew saying, any chance the Commanders Redskins go May at 2, or is Daniels a done deal? I heard some info yesterday. I'm not going to say, I can't say what it is, but I heard some info that made me convinced that that Daniels is going to be the pick. Now teams could always change their mind, I suppose, but I'm pretty confident. I bet it at -400, so that can let you know how I feel about it. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a done deal?
It's a done deal. I really don't see a scenario where it changes.
Yeah. Stephen asking, JC Latham getting a lot of hype recently. Thoughts on him going in the top 10? I'm going to have him going in the top 10 in my final mock draft because I don't know if you guys saw this. Daniel Jeremiah released his mock draft, and he has Latham going 5 to the Chargers. Jeremiah has connections to the Chargers. First of all, he's on their broadcasting team in the preseason. Second, the Ravens GM right now is the Chargers GM is a former member of the Ravens staff, and Darren Jeremiah used to work for the Ravens. So I just like connecting the dots there. I think that he's onto something, and it's an unusual pick, and something like that is like okay, like if it was just like a common pick, like a chalky pick, and I would say okay, like he just is just guessing here, but given that like no one had Latham go to the Chargers and then he did, I think that he knows something. And Jeremiah is one of the most accurate mock drafters. I think he's in our top 5 that I keep track of. So I'm just considering just following Jeremiah's lead and having the Chargers taking Latham. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there was also a report from Albert Breer as well, where he said that he believes that the Chargers are considering taking JC Latham over Joe Alt as well. Now, whether that means after a trade back or not, we don't know. But the bookmakers have definitely been listening, because within the last 12 hours, the odds of Latham going at the 5th pick has dropped from about plus 1,300 to plus 290.
Oh, wow.
So he's now the favorite to go with the 9th pick. Luckily, in Australia, we're a little bit upside down, so the market's changed a bit slowly, and I managed to get a lot on Latham to go 5th pick at like, I don't know, 1,300, something along those lines.
Wow,
but
okay.
I don't think it's likely, but I think it's so much more likely than it was about 12 hours ago, which seems insane to me. But I guess it kind of makes sense when you consider that Latham is a little bit more of a natural right tackle and has more experience there, and maybe that just fits what the Chargers are looking for.
That's 13-1 sounds great. I might have to go to Jersey again. see if they still have the odds up. Joe Alt has never played right tackle in his career. So I always thought the Chargers taking Alt sounded just off to me. Like you're going to spend the number 5 pick on the right tackle who's never played right tackle before. Just seemed wrong. Latham makes more sense. I just kind of wonder why they're not drafting a receiver, but it's the Jim Harbaugh way. Like he always likes to build up the run and the offensive line. It's like what he wants to do. Bagley saying, David Tepper saying we need an X factor receiver. Better take a guy with X in his name, and then spill some.
I'm glad he picked up on my pun.
Yeah, it's better take some. Better spill some drinks on some fans too if they're getting a little rowdy. That's his mantra. Jason saying Turner will slide if Atlanta doesn't take him. I don't think they will take him. Okay. Odds moved in Turner's favor over Latu in a couple of sites this evening. I think it's because people are mocking Turner to the Falcons, but I don't think it's going to happen. Is there a chance the Bears take him at 9? Dallas Turner. Seems like they're going offense or Murphy at this point. What are your thoughts on this? I think I had something on my phone, but you want to give this while I look it up?
Murphy's now a really heavy favorite to go at 9, like nearly evens on sub sites. The odds have moved really strongly within the last 48 hours. About 48 hours ago on most sites, he was about plus 600, plus 700, and he's been slowly easing up into the plus 200, 300 region. And now he's nearly at evens in certain places. And that seems insane to me because it's not very likely that the Bears will even stay at 9 and pick. And we don't have any clear information that they're going to take Murphy. So unless there's a reasonable chance a team trades up to get Murphy, and I really don't think there is, it doesn't make sense to me why he would go there. Having said that, there's clearly something that's causing these odds to shift, and it has been happening over the last 48 hours. I just can't find what it is. I really don't understand what's causing this buzz.
It just could be big money on the pick, but I think you made a good point where the Bears are not likely to stay at 9. Like I said, they only have 3 picks after number 1, and good luck trying to trade down and getting a lot of picks after that. Like trading down from 9 is their best chance to acquire more assets. So I like I said, I don't think they stay at 9, so it may not even matter. What I was getting on my phone, I had a post from Jordan Schultz, who's really a good draft reporter. He said the Bears aren't married to receiver at 9, tackle and edge are also options. So that kind of helps the Dallas Turner speculation. But like I said, like you said, I think they're likely to move down anyway. Okay, so Quacky says Latu under 16.5 is minus 170 on Bookmaker. I have bet all the Latu stuff. I bet every single Latu prop. So yeah. Carter asking Latu to be picked before Murphy plus 145. I bet that as well. Let's see. Let's see if I have the actual one. Okay, Latu over Byron Murphy's plus 130. So you're getting a better number. That's a DraftKings. So I bet that as well. So I'd recommend that. We have a $20 super chat from Kevin Kovac. Thank you so much, Kevin. That's awesome. Thank you.
Mandarin piece for you.
Kevin saying good luck tomorrow and this weekend. Thanks for the hard work. Looking forward to all the post-draft material and analysis. Thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate it. You're the best. Like you help us out so much. So it's now 30x what we would have made normally. So again, thanks, Kevin. Okay, let's we have a few more. Carter says, I took Graham Barton over 21.5 plus 185. He says, remember Jacob liked that yesterday, but notice it's not on your blog. Thoughts? I think Charlie said that, but I don't know if Jacob did. I think Charlie said that, but I think Graham Barton goes to the Steelers. Now, if he doesn't go to the Steelers, I think that probably hits. But I do like him to Pittsburgh. What do you think about this prop?
There's a report, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was from, that said that Miami really likes Barton, and if he's there, he'll take them, and they're at 21. So there's two very good reasons to be very concerned about that bet.
Okay. I'm kind of curious to hear who said that, but it makes sense. It really does. Jason asking, is Henderson going to change the Bengals' plans? I don't think so, because Miles Murphy was drafted to take a spot. Yeah, from what I heard, the Bengals, they've known about this for a while, his unhappiness. And from what I heard, that defensive end is not in their plans in the first 4 picks. So I don't think so. Pollyanna asking, can you see Ladd McConkey being drafted in the first round? I could see it. I could see a number of receivers sneaking to the first round. I see him. I see Keon Coleman, Xavier Legette, Xavier Worthy. I guess Xavier Worthy's not really sneaking, but I think he could get there. I think that maybe a couple others, Troy Franklin, maybe. I feel like a bunch of receivers could end up sneaking into like the 28 to 32 range. I think it's certainly possible.
Yeah, I agree too. The only reason that makes me a little bit worried about it is because it's so deep at wide receiver and it's so shallow at O-line by comparison. So if you're one of those teams, are you going to take one of the many receivers available and then miss out on O-line entirely, or take an O-lineman and know there will be a receiver for you at some point if you're willing to trade up a little bit?
Quacky says, I'll defend your honor, Walter. Thank you, Quacky. Yeah, you'll beat up the other guy and throw him out of the tower, wherever they are, the Erie. Chris saying, I'll be at the draft tomorrow. That's awesome. Have fun. Warco saying, imagine being a Chargers fan right now. That sucks. Yeah, they know it sucks. I feel like they like the misery. I feel like you have to almost. Eric saying DJ got the Chargers pick wrong last 5 years. So, but they have a new GM now. The GM that they have now, we used to work for the Ravens. So he's friends with this guy. So it might be different now. Okay, so it's Carter asking, maybe Chargers have something worked out with the Vikings if JJ's available and they got Latham 11. Yeah, I think that, so Latham is 5 seems crazy. I agree. I think that like they could stay at 5 and take Latham, but I feel like they could trade down. And I like what Dane Brugler had in his mock draft. I think he had like a few weeks ago, but he had Arizona moving down from 4 to 11, and then he had them moving back up to 5, which is like, it seems weird, but like it makes sense. They did something similar last year when they went from 3 to 12 to 6. Now moving down a few to 8 spots and then moving up 7 spots seems kind of weird, but I think it makes sense. It's like I said, they could get there. They can get Neighbors or Marvin Harrison at 5, and then the Chargers can get Latham at 11, and it works out.
Yeah, totally agree. I've projected the Chargers to move down to 11. I've got them going with the Cardinals, having had the Cardinals trade back. But there's a lot of different ways that the Chargers can move back and reasons why they might move back. Also worth remembering with Daniel Jeremiah and the Chargers, Tom Telesco was there up until last year, and he is notoriously really difficult to get information out of. So it makes sense that Jeremiah wouldn't be able to get the picks right before the changes.
That's a really good point. Yeah, Telesco doesn't let anything slip. Pollyanna is saying over 7.5 Pac-12 players is plus 170. You would need 2 of Nix, Penix, and Morgan drafted in the first round. So I do think Penix and Morgan will be drafted in the first round. Like I think at least one of Nix and Penix will be, and I think Morgan will be. So I guess I like that. Like the only reason I ever touch these conference bets is because I can't ever remember who's in each conference. Like it just always changes. I know I know some teams are some teams from the West are joining the Pac-12, they're joining the Big Ten. Like, did that happen yet? I don't know. Like, when's that happening? I have no idea. I've lost track of all this. I can't for the life of me like grasp like who's in the Pac-12 anymore. So
I have exactly the same issue with that, where you look it up and you're like, wait, are we counting these teams that are
right.
about to move but haven't yet? Like, are they in the new conference? The other thing to remember with that bet as well, that you also need Jackson Powers Johnson to go in the first round, and that's not a guarantee either. So there's kind of a number of players that might go in the first round that need to go. I don't love those odds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I do know that a couple of teams in the 20s like Jackson Powers Johnson. Now maybe they like other guys more, but I do think he would go in the first round, but it's not a guarantee. You're right. Chris asking, where would Ben rank in the hot dog eating contest question from last week? Now this is very important, Ben. We were asked to rank.
I saw it.
Oh, you saw it. Okay, so
Yeah.
would you like to answer this then?
Well, I've actually been in a hot dog eating contest before.
Okay.
At the school I work with, they used to have a staff. You had to run an obstacle course and then eat a hot dog and a soda, and then the winner had to do it again. And I won the first one, which is a massive mistake because then I needed to run an obstacle course having eaten a whole heap of hot dogs and soda. It was the worst day of my life. It was disgusting. But yes, I would win.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess that answers your question, Chris. I'm kind of curious because I had Tom as the winner. Now, Tom, you may not have heard this question. It was like who's going to win the hot dog contest between all the guests that we have on the show. And I said Tom because Tom even said while he was on the show that he can eat really fast and whatnot. So I nominated him. So I wonder who would win between you and Tom. I don't know if Tom.
Oh, it's on. It's so on.
Okay, we'll do that someday. Jason saying I had Arizona doing this in mock 2. Okay, so yeah, I think that makes sense. Bagley saying 4 to 11 to 9 makes sense. Yeah, I think 4 to 11 and then to anything makes sense for Arizona. Really, I feel like they're definitely going to do that. I think Jacob said it's the Austin Fort maneuver. I think that's what he called it. Lando saying late to the party, but the Vikings and Arizona still likely to deal together. So Charlie reported that the Vikings and Cardinals have a deal in place. Oh no, actually the report was people around the NFL believe that they have a deal in place. So it's not definite, but here's the thing, like the Vikings got Houston's pick for a reason. Like they wanted ammo to trade up. And so I think they're going to trade up. Maybe it's not all the way to 4. Because maybe they'll think Arizona wants too much, and maybe they're talking to the Chargers and they're like, hey, maybe we can give you a little less. So I don't think it's locked in that 4 and 11 trade, but I do think Minnesota is going to trade up. I just don't know with whom.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's highly likely. Minnesota's the main guys. I think the only thing that can change that, and it's looking less likely by the day, is if Drake May falls. I think if Drake May falls, that brings a lot more teams in that are more interested in him than McCarthy. And if Jaden Daniels falls, then all of a sudden you'll have a whole lot more teams that are interested and willing to pay a whole lot more. So it is going to depend on who's there. And I think it makes sense for the Cardinals to wait until the teams know that they're going to get the guy they want rather than paying up for one of a number of options who may fall to that spot.
Yeah, that's true. And also makes sense for them to wait and see if they can get a better offer. Maybe from the Giants or Broncos, Raiders, maybe someone else. All right, so Carter's saying Chargers moving down makes a lot of sense for Harbaugh. I'm surprised there's not much talk of Harbaugh taking Bowers, though. At five, I like. Well, if they trade down, sure, I could see that happening. But it seems 5's a little rich. But maybe that's why, because just they have the 5th pick. Lions Kool-Aid to reunite with Branch. Yeah, Kool-Aid is one of the guys who could go 29 to Detroit. I'm eyeing Johnny Newton, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Jackson Powers Johnson is the 3 main guys considering to Detroit right now.
I think I've got McKinstry there at the moment.
Okay. Let's see. They need pass catchers, but tight end fits for Harbaugh. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I just think that the 5's a little too high, but yeah, they could trade down. Marvin over 4.5 on Circa. So here's the thing. So a few weeks ago, Mike Jarecki, who's the most accurate team reporter, said that the Cardinals like Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. And Charlie reported something similar, not with the Cardinals, but a bunch of teams have Neighbors over Harrison. However, today, just a couple hours ago, Mike Jarecki did a mock draft for the 33rd team, and he had Marvin Harrison going to the Cardinals. So I was a little confused. I reached out to him. I haven't heard from him yet. Hopefully I will. But I was kind of surprised by that. I don't know. Maybe, but like either way, I think Arizona's going to trade down anyway. So, yeah. So Quacky's saying I once at a pizza eating contest when I was 13. He won it. So, yeah, I once won. Here we go. I once won a pizza eating contest. So yeah, game on, guys.
Solid.
Yeah. John Sanders, $2. Thank you so much, John. Thoughts on Irsay's comment trading up for Marvin Harrison Jr.? I did not hear this. Can you say what he said? Ben, have you heard anything?
No, I've heard nothing about this at all. I mean, I think it makes sense that if Harrison starts to fall, there'll be a lot of teams that are talking about trading up. But it does seem strange to me that you'd comment on that publicly before it happening.
Yeah. Well, Irsay's done very strange things. So
yeah, true.
Yeah. Alex saying, I think I could beat Tom at a hot dog eating contest. So, okay. So Alex is another guest of the show. So we have 3 competitors here. And I guess I'd be the 4th because I've said that I think I can out eat anyone, but I'm the slowest eater on the planet. Like I can eat straight for like 6 hours. And just like, I feel like that's the Russian in me because if you ever go to a Russian restaurant, they give you like not exaggerating. They give you like 16 courses, and they'll give you dessert, and then they'll give you your like 8th entree after dessert. It makes no sense. There's always a giant fish looking at you, giant fish head looking at you, and no one eats it for some reason. It's just there. This is very weird. But like it's like a 5-hour marathon. These dinners at Russian restaurants. So I guess I'm like built for that. But I don't know. But I'm the slowest eater on the planet, like by far.
I think we can fairly say that you would beat all of us in the fish head eating contest, though.
There's no way I ever touched any of that. It's always it's always looking at you and has this like evil look in its eye. It's like, oh man, like why is this thing here? It's always there. No one ever touches it. Like I've eaten at Russian restaurants for years. I've never seen anyone look at take the fish head out. Like never.
That's so bizarre.
So weird. Bag is saying the awesome Fort maneuver: trade down server picks and trade up and select the player whose first name is a European city. Yes. Okay. Who you got in the top 5 in the second round? Okay. Well, let me pull up my second round here. So Panthers at 33, which we're talking about them trading down. I've been taking Xavier Legette. So I saw Xavier Legette say something weird. He said he visited the Panthers 4 times, which I was like, how's that possible? But so he's a local prospect, so it wouldn't count as a top 30 visit. Maybe he just like drove by the stadium 4 times or something like that. He's like, hey guys, draft me. Hey, I don't know what that is, but
why would you even want to go there? Like, I don't understand. Surely that would be like really low on your list of preferences, even if you're local.
Yeah. I don't understand. So, but that's what he said. I'm not going to doubt him. So I connected the dots there. Xavier Legette to the Panthers, Troy Franklin to the Patriots. I believe they met with him. Not sure, but the Patriots need a receiver. Jared Verse to Arizona. Like I said, I have Verse falling out of the first round. Nate Wiggins to the Redskins, but I'm gonna have Wiggins going in the first round. I found a spot to him finally. I just couldn't find it. I'm gonna have him going to Baltimore. And then Chris Jenkins to the Chargers, natural fit. This is a top 30 visit. He played for Jim Harbaugh. And they need a defensive tackle, so it makes sense. So, do you have your top 5 in the second round available, or if not,
I don't really have them ordered. I just know the players that I've got in that area. So like guys like Jared Verse, I'm finding it really hard to fit in. Like Xavier Worthy's fallen for me, so he would definitely go in that next 5 if he doesn't make it into the top 32 for me. I think Xavier Legette's really likely, assuming that Carolina stays there. There's been a lot linking them to that. I know that Charlie talked about that, for example. I love Xavier Legette as well. He's probably my 4th favorite wide receiver in this class. I had him in college fantasy last year, and he was amazing, and I just want to see him in the NFL now. But yeah, I think they're the main guys. I think we're going to see a lot of receivers. Lad McConkey's another guy that we might see in that range, and assuming that Kingsley Su'Mataya doesn't go to the Chiefs, I think he's probably going to go somewhere in that area as well. Jordan Morgan's also the kind of guy that if he doesn't go at the end of the first, he'll go early in the second. So they're the names that I'd be expecting to be in that area.
Okay. Yeah, I think Jordan Morgan goes in the first round, but yeah, I think if not, he'll go early second. So, speaking of tackles, Steve says I like a tackle at 10, all plus 10 to 1. So if you heard earlier, the Jets have a plan A, plan B, and plan C, which is trade down or take a Dunze and then take Bowers. That's Charlie's reporting. Just saying, wow, about him taking Marvin Harrison. Maybe they have two receivers equal. Yeah. And then Connor saying he said on his podcast a month ago, but last week he was talking to the Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr. and has been talking him since. Okay. So thanks for the clarification. I don't know. Maybe the Cardinals. So like teams don't have their draft board set like a month in advance. Maybe they like neighbors. Maybe they're pissed off that Harrison didn't work out and they're like downgrading him, but then they're like, oh, wait a second, he's great. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's it. Kind of peeved by this news because I bet not a crazy amount, but I bet enough to make it matter a little bit for neighbors to be the first receiver chosen. Because I thought it was like a coin flip at like plus 650, which like you would take every single time a coin flip plus 650. Like you'd be crazy not to. But yeah, it's I'm gonna switch to Harrison. If I don't have Arizona trading down, I'm gonna switch to Harrison. I just don't know. I just feel like they're gonna trade down anyway. So
yeah, I'm the same. I put plenty on. I've got a lot on McCarthy to go up for because that was really good odds for a while. And I assumed that if I went with that and neighbors, like we talked about a couple of weeks, that was a good way to cover our bases. So if it turns out that's not the case, that's going to be annoying. But I still think McCarthy's the most likely outcome there, in front of both of those wide receivers.
Chris is asking, do NFL teams get intel on how many hot dogs to draft prospects in 10 minutes? I feel like they know everything about these prospects. I feel like yes. Quacky says you have no idea what Quacky saying you have no idea what you're up against, Alex. I would love to see this. Alex saying I've attempted a 6-pound burrito challenge, so there's a lot of trash talking here. John saying you may see a record number of receivers taken around 2. I could see that. Jason saying his top 5 in the second round. Sainer still to the Panthers, then Penix Jr. to Washington, Arizona taking Braylon Trice, Jordan Morgan to Washington, and then Arizona taking Tyler Guyton. I feel like Guyton's going to go in the first round. I'd be kind of surprised if he gets past like Green Bay, Dallas, that area. But yeah, otherwise I like your top 5. Although I mean Penix could certainly go earlier, but I do like your top 5 otherwise.
That'd be early for Trice, I think, but it'll be interesting. I guess there's upside there.
Yeah, Penix trade up, as he said. How confident are you in Latu stuff? I am very confident. I bet Latu more than any other thing. Yeah, I'll show you real quick. Okay, look at these Latu bets. Latu, so 0.7 units here, but 5 units here, 2.9 units here, 5.65 units here, and 2 units here. So I hope this Latu stuff is right, but because I bet on it a lot. And then JP asking anything on which linebackers come off the board first. Looks like Colson's making a push. I don't know. I really don't know where these linebackers could go. They're all like okay prospects. Like none of them are going to go in the first round. Colson is my top linebacker chosen. I am going. We talked about the top 5 picks in the second round. I have him as the 6th pick in the second round to Tennessee. He met with. He had a top 30 visit to Tennessee. Titans need a linebacker. They've Kenneth Murray is one of their starters, so that shows you. I like your face there. That's just like that's very emblematic of like how you should feel if Kenneth Murray is one of your starters. So yeah, Junior Colson to the Titans. I like so. I would like Colson. If you get a good number on him, I'd be willing to bet it.
Yeah, I noticed that Charlie has Peyton Wilson as the top guy, but Albert Breer just came out with a report saying that Peyton Wilson's been disqualified by a lot of teams for medical concerns. So it wouldn't surprise me if he falls. Having said that, if he hasn't been disqualified by the right team, he could still go there. So I thought that's worth noting.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. I heard that teams knocked him medically. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see him fall as well. And last question here, the boss, before we move on to your rumors, the boss saying Jarecki just posted a tweet saying a couple of scenarios for the Cardinals: trade down from 4 to 6 with the Giants, select neighbors, future second, third. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well. So I'm glad to hear him on the neighbors train. I don't know why he mocked Harrison there. So maybe if they stay at 4, they take Harrison, and then 6, they assume he's off the board. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Maybe they have them equal. I know that one team that needs a receiver has them equal too. So, it's not just like, hey, we like one guy more than the other is equal. So, all right, let's get to your rumors that you sent. So, as I X'd out of it. Okay. So, and you have, okay. All right. So, all right. Draft rumors. Patriots likely to draft May at the 3rd pick. This is from Albert Breer. Yeah, but May is like a minus 330 or something to go third. So I definitely think that. And another Patriots one. Patriots only trade down if they're guaranteed May or McCarthy from Pretty Ricky. So yeah, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there's anything particularly shocking about that. I can't imagine a scenario where they trade down unless potentially if they see May and McCarthy as similar and then a team comes up to 4 but really wants one of those two specifically, they could do a 3-4 swap potentially just to get a little bit out of that.
Cardinals less likely to move is off from 4. Will
Yes,
likely call everyone's bluff. Yeah, I mean, it's possible they could stay at 4. Like I was saying, like maybe the Vikings straight up to 5 or 6. Like that could be it. But Arizona wants we know that Arizona wants to trade down. Like they Drecky has said that. Chargers want Harrison or Alt if they can't trade down. Harbaugh likes Harrison. Horace likes Alt. This is from Tony Pauline. He's a good reporter. But this goes against the Latham stuff. So, and then Latham, as you said here, real possibilities to the Chargers are 5. Latham now the favorite at pick 5. So, so I mean, congrats to you for getting 13-1 on Latham. It's a great number.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I found it really interesting, but I think it's just that time of the season where we're going to get a whole heap of news that's totally contradictory. So it's just trying to pass through it and try to work out what actually counts.
Mm-hmm. Let's get to some Giants stuff. Giants looking to trade up for May and not McCarthy. This is from several people, which I think makes sense. But with Charlie, I think Charlie's report could match up with this, where he's saying the Giants are not going to draft the quarterback in the first 2 rounds because I think they may assume that May is not going to be available. So if May falls to 6, I think they would take him, but it's just very unlikely to happen. So I think the Charlie's right. Giants might like Odunze over Neighbors from Albert Breer. That's interesting. Giants prefer Neighbors over Odunze. Okay.
I thought you'd like that.
Connor Hughes. So yeah, a lot of people don't know stuff. I think Connor Hughes is correct and not Albert Breer. Just based on stuff I know. Giants like Penix, might even like him at 6. That goes against what Charlie said. So Giants will pick a quarterback in the first round for Pretty Ricky. Okay. I mean, Pretty Ricky's been right about a lot.
He is a Giants fan. Keep that in mind.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. So if May falls to 6, unlikely, but could happen, I suppose. Maybe, but I would trust Charlie. Charlie's gotten a lot of stuff right about the Giants in recent years. So I think the Giants end up with Neighbors or Harrison at 6. And then we'll see what happens to them in the second round. Maybe a quarterback falls to them, but I'll trust Charlie's reporting over anyone's.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the Giants? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm pretty sure they're going to go wide receiver. I think this is all a whole lot of smoke that they're happy to put out there. They tend to be telling a lot of the big name guys that are just going to make it really well known that they want a quarterback, but I think I have no interest in a quarterback. They just want to make sure one of their preferred wide receivers falls to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. The Titans could pick a receiver if Alt's gone from Diana Marie Rossini. I was kind of trying to rack my brain trying to figure out what's going to happen if Joe Alt's not there. But it sounds like, I mean, if the Chargers go Latham, then I don't know who's going to take Alt. The Giants took a tackle recently, and it's the same thing. Like, yeah, you can say they need a right tackle because Evan Neal has been terrible, but again, Alt has never played right tackle. So you're going to take a guy at number 6 who's never played a position. Seems crazy. So
yeah, you're not moving Andrew Thomas, so it makes no sense.
Right. Teams may trade with Titans and Falcons to get Brock Bowers ahead of the Bears and Jets. I can see that. I guess I can see the Colts maybe trading up for him. Talk about the Colts trading up for a receiver. I can see them trading up for a tight end. But I think Bowers goes 10 ultimately.
Yeah, I think that's most likely. You can get unbelievable odds on Bowers going 7 and 8. It's like 5,100 or something like that. So you can put a very small amount of money on that and just have a punt if you feel like it.
Yeah, you can do worse with a small amount of money. If the Bears can't get a receiver, they will trade down from Albert Breer. I feel like they're gonna trade down, and then Byron Murphy heavy favorites to go 9th pick.
That's with bookmakers, obviously.
Oh yeah, right. You're right. So I think the Bears trade down. Like I said before, just 3 picks after the Caleb Williams. Like, this is not enough. They need more.
Okay.
If the Jets can't get Bowers, they'll trade down and target Fuaga. So this is like the opposite of what Charlie said. So like the Jets want to trade down, and then if not, they'll get Odunze, and if not Odunze, then Bowers. That's what Charlie said. But this is like similar, but like the opposite order. So I would trust Charlie. I mean, if you have doubts about Charlie's accuracy at the Jets, look at his 2022 mock draft. He got both of their first the first 2 picks and their second round pick. So yeah, he knows the stuff. He says Philly and the Steelers both want to trade with the Broncos to get Quinion Mitchell. I heard stuff about Quinion Mitchell. I think the Eagles will go offensive line personally, but I could be wrong. I might have some info on the Eagles tomorrow morning, which I'll let you guys know via the draft and via my mock draft. So Colts may want to trade it for receiver. Yeah, I talked about that. I think that makes sense. And Colts, Jaguars, Rams, and Eagles all want to trade up. I can see that. The Eagles have two second round picks. The Rams have extra picks. Jaguars do. Colts are kind of neutral in assets, but they have Anthony Richardson in his second year. Like, I feel like this is their Super Bowl win though. Like, with the quarterback in his rookie deal, like it just makes so much sense for them to trade up for a receiver.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, Seahawks and Ravens both like Cooper DeJean due to the schemes from Albert Breer. Yeah, I think that's correct. I have the Seahawks taking Cooper DeJean. Jackson Powers Johnson, liked by the Cowboys, Packers, and Lions. Contrary to report, definitely didn't visit the Dolphins. He did visit with the Dolphins, from what I heard.
Yeah. Apparently, people have started coming out saying that report was false, and he actually didn't visit with the Dolphins. So I don't know what to make of that, but that was Tony Pauline.
Okay, so this is funny. So I saw today. What's the Jackson Powers Johnson? Okay, so no, I think Tony's correct. There was another guy who visited the Dolphins, but someone said they didn't, and they ended up visiting. I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh no, wait, hold on. Is it Jackson Powers Johnson? Yes,
it might have been. There's been a lot of back and forth on that. It's a bit confusing.
Yes, I think it was Barry Jackson, who works for the Miami Herald. He said that people in close to Jackson Powers Johnson said that he visited the Dolphins. So I don't know who to believe, but I'm just going to keep it in there in my on the site. Yeah. Darius Robinson, loved by teams, first round guaranteed. Look for 49ers, Bucks, and Cardinals. Yeah, I talked about the Cardinals liking him. Lions want to trade up for edge or corner. I can see them trading up for Johnny Newton, or like hoping he falls to them. I think that's someone that they would like. I don't know if he's going to get there, but if he does, I think they would take him. Chiefs may trade up. Yeah, Andy Reid's always live to do that. Amarius Mims at risk to fall out of the first round. I think he's the Bengals' plan B, so I kind of be surprised by that. I think he goes 18 if Latham's not there. Redskins want to trade in the first round to get Jordan Morgan. I can see that happening. Wide receivers likely to fall out of the second round at expense of offensive linemen. Yeah, I can see that too. Bo Nix linked to the Rams. I saw that report, but I don't know. I guess it could happen, but
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, Peyton Wilson disqualified by some teams, as you said. Okay, so those are our rumors. Any parting thoughts on those before we answer some more questions and then get to your props?
I mean, I think it's most important to remember, especially around this time, don't put too much into rumors, especially if they're not from people we should be trusting. Like, I will hold things that Charlie says and the good team reporters way above just the popular guys, and I think it's really important to be careful about those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you don't want to put too much stock into them. It depends on who it is. Yeah. Stone Papa Smurf asking, what does Charlie think is the best draft prop bet? He said yesterday that Laiatu Latu to be the first defensive player chosen at 2-1. That was his favorite draft prop, and that's something I bet as well. Latham at plus 430 at 5. Do you know what sportsbook that is? Because it seems like a good number. Bryce asking, what's up, fellas? Any rumors about who the Ravens like at 30? I'm going to put Nate Wiggins there. Just hearing some things, not like the most reliable, but it has worked in the past. So that's gonna be my pick. It's gonna be someone who falls to them, and Wiggins could qualify, I suppose. Like people were projecting him earlier. Any thoughts on who the Ravens going to take at 30?
Yeah, I'm finding it really tough. I've even thought about possibly having them trading back out because there's a lot of talk about Washington coming in and trying to take Jordan Morgan. And I feel like the Ravens are the kind of team where it makes sense for them to trade back and just take that value because they're going to find value no matter where they pick. So I can imagine them trading out if they don't trade out. I know Jordan Morgan himself's been linked to them. I think O-line's probably the most likely, but we know they're just going to take a player who's amazing value and you have no idea who that player is going to be until it actually happens.
Yep. We'll all be like, oh man, how'd Baltimore get this guy? And that always happens. John saying Harrison's 12-1 at number 6. So yeah, I mean, if Arizona trades out, I can see that happening. Danny saying his top 10: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Dunze, Joe Alt, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Brock Bowers. I would switch Turner with Elia Tulatu. And I think Verse, I think that 9 is a little too early for Verse. Actually, way too early. I don't think he's going to go in the top 15.
Yeah, that looks very similar to what a lot of us were saying about a month ago. And I think there's been a fair bit that's changed that suggests McCarthy's going to have to go somewhere in there and Verse is no longer in that area.
Mm-hmm. Stone Papa Smurf saying, I was thinking alt top 5 plus at 3-1. I wouldn't do that because like the only place he can go is number 5. And so you could probably get better odds on him going number 5. But even then, like he's not played right tackle ever in his career. So I don't know. Maybe they take him. I'm not going to say no, but I 3-1 is not good enough for me to pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, Latham at 5. I think so. Pollyanna is saying instead of only getting 5-1 for Latham 5, you can get 30-1 for Latham to be the first non-quarterback taken. Yeah, you run the risk though of Arizona not trading down and getting either Harrison or Neighbors, but yeah, I mean 30-1 sounds so much better than 5-1 for sure. You think Latham 2 at 5? Yeah. So I answered that. Seeing Murphy go 11th at 9-1. Would the Vikings take him if they stay put? Yeah, the Vikings love Byron Murphy. The problem is that they need a quarterback. So I think they take a quarterback. Like they got Houston's 23rd pick. Like I think they wanted ammo to trade up for a quarterback. So I think that's the plan for them. So.
You could see that happening, but it would have to be a real surprise with someone else, like potentially, let's say, the Giants jumping up because Drake May falls, and then all of a sudden the Vikings have no one to trade with, and they just have to stick and pick. And if that happens, then you could imagine them taking Murphy.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly possible. 9-1 doesn't seem that great, though.
You could also imagine a situation where the Bears trade down with whoever originally traded. With the Cardinals. So for example, if the Cardinals come back, then the Cardinals trade back up with the Bears. The Bears are now at 11, and there's been quite a few things linking the Bears to Murphy. So that's another way it could happen as well.
Yeah, I like that. Makes sense. Piana says Vikings definitely won't stay put. I agree. Stone Papa Smurf saying Raiders first position drafted quarterback plus 125, offensive line plus 175, cornerback plus 225. It's gonna be one of them, but good luck trying to figure out who that's going to be. There's nothing coming out about the Raiders. We know that the Raiders like Michael Penix. That's for sure, but we just don't know if they like him enough to take him at 13.
I don't know if this is still the case, but about an hour ago, you could get the Raiders to pick a quarterback first at plus 380. So if you combine those three, and you can see it on the screen there, if you combine those three things together, that only adds up to about 87%. So that's an arbitrage opportunity, essentially. They're not going to pick another position. So you can combine those three odds and get pretty close to guaranteeing profit.
Oh, okay, interesting. Just shop around on different sports books. It's very important. Jason saying Bengals need a nose tackle. Yeah, the only real nose tackle is Sweat from Texas. Any chance of the Bengals to grab him in round 2 or 3? Yeah, I think they'll take him. They too. They were disappointed in him on his off the field stuff, but I think they were like, what if he falls to round 2? And it's like he will fall to round 2. So yeah, it sounds like the Bengals have him in mind for sure. So Peyton Wilson's a PFF plant similar to Raymond a couple years ago, and anyone who has him in the first round, their mock is a casual. Okay. I haven't seen him in the first round, so I
don't think anyone thinks the linebacker is going in the first round.
Yeah, and plus he has injury stuff too. So Steven saying FanDuel is as Latham at plus 430 at number 5. Every day I'm chopping says bet 365 is Latu under 165 at -1 at 16.5 -120. Yeah, congratulations on being able to use bet 365. Like they're only available in like 5 or 6 states. New Jersey,
And
one of
Australia.
oh well, there you go.
That's where I do all mine.
There you go. Maybe I should move to Australia instead. But no, I try to sign up in New Jersey, and they're like, "We need a picture of your license." And I always go at nights. I'm like, "Am I going to use my like flashlight to take a picture?" Like, it's going to be ridiculous. So, I just never sign up for Bet365. I do want to. Every day I'm chopping says FanDuel has neighbors to be 4 at 34-1. That's interesting. You know, if the Cardinals stay put, it could be him, could be Harrison. It's worth a gamble. I would put a little bit on it, not a lot, but a little bit. So Danny Drew saying that was my exact top 10 before I updated mock tonight. Okay. And Jason saying Bears go Williams, then Daniels, then May, then Vikings take McCarthy, then Marvin Harrison Jr., then Malik Neighbors, then Joe Alt, then Latu, then Odunze, and then Bowers. I like the top 10. I think that could certainly happen.
Makes sense.
Dan Drews. What about kickers in the 4th round? And Jason, no kicker goes at all, maybe around 7. I always forget to put kickers and punters in my mock draft. And then I know that the Bengals want to use the 7th round pick on a punter. So I put a punter in there finally. But I don't know. I was on a podcast. I was a guest on a Vikings podcast with One Bar and Lupagus. I'm on there like I go on there once a year. They're great guys. They've been doing draft stuff for almost as long as I have. They're like they asked me like one last question: who do you like for kickers and punters? I'm like, guys, I'm honestly I don't know. I have zero clue. I've not done any research on them, so unfortunately.
Yeah, apparently they're people too, but I'm yet to see any evidence.
Yeah, right. Piana is saying Latu is under 16.5, under 2.5, under 200 only a few hours ago. Now it's -120. I wonder if some news came out about him. I mean, no news came out about Latu going high because I don't think any news has been released about him outside of us. So unless like if Charlie doesn't have Latu going at 8 to Atlanta on Thursday morning, I'll be shocked. If he does, it's a sign that you should bet it. Okay. How do you guys feel about Brian Thomas Jr.? I feel like every year, if there's a 1st-round receiver, this also has the fastest 40, they go higher than expected. Yeah, I think that I think Buffalo is going to trade up for him. Charlie's reported that Buffalo wants to trade up, so I think that the Bills will move up. I don't know where, but 6, maybe as high as 16, but I think maybe early 20s to take Brian Thomas Jr.
Agreed. That's definitely the right range.
Yeah, and Bryce said, I heard a rumor on Twitter that Minnesota is willing to move heaven and earth to trade with New England for May. Thoughts? We'll see. The Patriots have turned down all offers. They're not interested in moving out unless they get a ridiculous trade. And if Minnesota wants to do that, maybe. So they'd have to blow New England away for the Patriots to trade down. So, yeah. Bo Nix under 32.5 is +125. So the interesting thing here is like I feel like the Broncos are going to take Bo Nix, but I think they trade down and then take him because they trade for Zach Wilson. I think that was kind of like kind of an insurance policy just in case they don't get a quarterback. But I no longer think the Knicks are going to trade. The Broncos could trade up for Nix. I know you think that the Broncos are going to trade down for Nix, and I think that's more likely to happen now.
Yeah, I think the original report that said they're going to trade up for a quarterback, we just inferred it was Knicks, but I think he's since come out and said if they were going to trade up for someone, it's probably McCarthy. And I just don't think they have the ammunition to trade up for McCarthy compared to what the Vikings can offer. So I feel like if they're going to trade anywhere, there's a lot of reports about them trading down for Knicks. And potentially even if they trade down for Knicks and they trade down far enough, they might even be able to get someone else and then get Knicks later on in the 2nd round if they can track down a 2nd-round pick. So they've got plenty of ways to get Knicks. It doesn't have to be in the 1st round, but they'll find a way to get a quarterback somewhere, surely.
Yeah, I have some news. Mike Drecke said that was not his mock draft that had Martin Harrison there. So, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good news because that kind of threw me for through a loop and whatnot. So yeah, that's a good sign. Everyday Chopping says, do you still think Latu will be the first defensive player taken? Yes, I do. Check back with Charlie's mock, just be safe, but I do think so. Latu, first defensive player, plus 225 in DK. I bet that. I bet everything Latu. And Quacky saying, wait, what did he say? Who is they?
I assume he means directly, maybe.
Yeah, he said that wasn't his mock. Because I asked him, I'm like, did anything change? Because he said on his podcast that he had neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. And then a mock came out, and he posted the mock, and it had Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4, and I was confused by it, and so I reached out to him. I'm like, did you hear something different? And he said it wasn't his mock. So, but he's adamant that the Cardinals are going to trade down. Like he's very adamant. He thinks they're going to move down to 11 or something else. I think he said 6 and 11 were possibilities for them to trade down. So I do think Arizona is going to trade down. And like Minnesota has gotten all these picks, like they're not going to trade up after acquiring Houston's first round pick. Like, doesn't make sense. So
yeah, totally agree. It's either if May's there, the Giants might trade up with them. Otherwise, Minnesota makes the most sense.
Yeah. And here we might know why Latu's odds have gone down, because Jeremiah hasn't gone 27. That's wrong. I think he might have old info on his medical because he's been cleared by some teams and teams like him enough to go in the top 10. Bo Nix plus 105 at DraftKings for what? Brock Bowers getting. Sorry, what?
I assume that's first round.
Okay. I don't know what to make of
Bo Nix. Go to the Broncos potentially, but yeah.
I think the Broncos will take him. I just don't know where. I think it could be after the trade down. Could be after 2 trade downs. Maybe they get a second round pick after a couple of trade downs and they take him in the second round. Like,
yeah,
I think they will take him. I just don't know where. Let's say, okay. Maybe the Saints and Rams get Bo Nix. I don't know about the Saints. I can see maybe the Rams, but I don't know. All right, let's get to your draft props. So you have here Raiders pick a quarterback. So we talked about this.
Yeah, that's an arbitrage.
Yeah, I like those. Raiders taking quarterback plus 380 at the FanDuel. Offensive line plus 175. Cornerback plus 225. So if you can guarantee yourself positive money here no matter what. Like you'd have to. I think you would. I think you might lose out a little bit based on a scenario, but you can make it so you win you win or you lose a little bit.
It depends how much you bet on each unit, right, but there are amounts you could bet where you can guarantee that you can win about 13% profit or something like that.
Yeah. You just have to work it out mathematically, but yeah, you can do it. FanDuel has McCarthy at number 4 plus 410. It's interesting. I kind of like that. DK has McCarthy under 5.5 minus 130. So yeah, this is including the Chargers picks. I think I'd just rather bet the plus 410. Honestly.
Yeah, me too.
FanDuel DraftKings is Marvin Harrison Jr. 12-1 to be the 6th pick. So yeah, we talked about that. FanDuel has Rome Odunze over 8.5 plus 140, and DraftKings has him as plus 750 to be the 8th pick.
I don't really see him going inside the top 7, so that seems like a pretty good combo.
So, let's game this out. So, hold on. We'll do that during your draft. Let's just get through these. So receiver draft order is FanDuel. Neighbors, Harrison, Odunze, Thomas at 13-1, or Neighbors, Harrison, Odunze, Worthy at 34-1. Yeah, I mean, if you think Neighbors goes before Harrison, I kind of like those. You can bet both and try to win that way. But yeah, I mean that would require a team not named Arizona to like Neighbors over Harrison as well. So DraftKings Talise Fuaga over 13.5 plus 135. I didn't know where to put Fuaga. I feel like it seemed like the Eagles could trade up for him. I just like I had him in the early 20s just because I couldn't find a spot for him. I might mock him at 19 to the Rams. I think the Rams go offense ultimately. Like I haven't taken Byron Murphy, but I think they can go offense instead.
Yeah, I like the fact that there's a lot more spots below 13.5 than above where it's likely to go. And because we have so many question marks over the order, I've put quite a lot on Fuanga going low.
Amaris Mims over 21.5 is plus 118. FanDuel and the DraftKings over 22.5 plus 155. I think he goes to the Bengals at 18. If Latham's not there, it seems like the two guys that they like the most. Jatavian Sanders, second tight end, plus 310. I don't know what to make these other tight ends, honestly.
Yeah. Everyone seems to have him second, except the bookmakers, which I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. They're all mediocre after the first one. They're gonna be none in the second round, I think. FanDuel has the Bengals offensive line at even money. I think they go offensive line. If all the top guys are gone, then I think they'll go defensive tackle. But they want to address offensive line. Rams pick defensive line plus 180. I think it still happened. Like I buy Byron Murphy there, but the more I think about it, I think they go offense because they spent so much on free agency on defense. I think they go offense instead. But that's just speculation. I have no info on that. FanDuel taking Dolphins defensive line at plus 210. I think it's either offense or defensive line. I think that's a good bet. Almost like about 2-1 to go defensive line. I think it's almost a coin flip where it's the offensive line, defensive line. I don't see what else they would take.
Yeah, I agree.
And then finally, Niners pick receiver plus 340. If they trade Brandon Ayuk, could see it. But they love addressing the trenches. I think they also go offensive defensive line. But 340 is a pretty good number.
They feel like a team that could potentially trade down and then get into one of those many wide receivers that are going to go early in the second round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. John saying for $2. Thank you, thank you again, John. Ayuk trade with St. Brown getting $30 million per year. Yeah. So okay. So I see what you're saying. So the St. Brown contract could mean the Niners are going to trade Ayuk because they can't pay him that much. So, yeah, I do think Brandon Ayuk's traded during the draft. I think he's the guy who goes like we recently saw some receivers traded in the draft. We saw AJ Brown get traded, Marquise Brown in recent years. I think Ayuk's gonna be on the move, maybe to the Colts, maybe to the Jaguars. I could see one of those teams getting him.
There's also links to the Giants with him as well, which I think would be interesting, and that would push them towards a quarterback a little bit more. I think that's what's got a lot of more people thinking about quarterback as well.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. There's a number of teams that could trade for him. Albright is pretty sure Penix falls to the second round. I don't know if he's super trustworthy, but if he says it, he could be right. He could be right. Let's see. I have the Raiders trading up 33 to get Penix. Yeah. Why can't we parlay draft bets? So I can't even bet draft bets in Pennsylvania. I have to drive to New Jersey to do it. So be happy that you could do it where you are and you don't have to drive to the Trenton Thunder baseball stadium, which is like, oh man, I saw the name because like I always drive there at night, and I drove there today during the day, and I saw that I didn't know that they had a name, like there's a name to the field, like, and I was like, and I had it memorized, and I was like, I was gonna say it on air, and I forgot it. So it's like something senior field. I just don't know how, like next time I'll look, but I had no idea that the field was named anything until today.
That's the first place I'm visiting when I come to the US. It's Trenton Thunder's baseball field. I'm there.
Well, just go during the day, not at night. It's a very shady neighborhood. Groovy saying Xavier Legette getting picked by the Niners or Chiefs or Lions. He's plus 155 for the first round. I haven't heard any interest for the Lions, but he could go to the Niners or Chiefs potentially. Plus 155 the first round. I think that's okay. I think that's about right. I think he's less than 50% to go first round, but it could happen.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm finding it really hard to want to bet any wide receivers in the first round. There's just so many of them, and you don't know which ones it's going to be, and a lot of them are going to fall. I just don't think it makes sense.
Yeah, and if you do, you should try to get a good number. Like Keon Coleman's like plus 450, like something like that is a lot better. And I think he and Legette have equal odds of going in the first round, or projected wise by us. Groovy saying why isn't Blake Corum first favorite running back? Well, I mean, there's Jonathan Brooks, there's Trey Benson. I feel like those two guys could go before him. So it's I feel like any of those three in any order. OTC says interior defensive line is the safest bet in the first round. I saw that. The offensive line were the safest prospects in the first round, and receiver, tight end were the riskiest prospects, which is not a surprise at all. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there's a graph on like the bust factor, and like it was like the top 3 positions were like center, tackle, guard, and then like the bottom 2 were like tight end, receiver. so
Yeah,
not
exactly.
surprising at all. Yeah.
Having said that, you're not always aiming to avoid busting. Sometimes
True.
you actually want to get a really good player, and sometimes you have to take a risk to do that. Like quarterbacks are never going to be high on that list because so many bust, but you also need a really good quarterback, and the easiest way to do that is to draft one high. So it kind of goes both ways with that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Steven's saying lowest odds on McCarthy at 3 or plus 185, 4 to 10 plus 400 better. You put a little 4 to 10. Hope he lands in the top 10. Yeah, I think he goes. I think he goes 4. I don't think he's going to go 3. He could. That's like 3 is I'm not 100% on. Unlike 1 and 2. Bengals first position offensive line minus 105. So we talked about plus 100 there on FanDuel, so you can get a better number. Cornerback moved to 2 to 1. Yeah, I don't think corner. I think offensive line is the way they go, or defensive line. I think that's the other option. Patriots to take Ayuk in a trade. Yeah, that's another possibility. Like I say, you could become the unofficial mascot of the Thunder, maybe. I wonder if there's like anyone from the Thunder organization who like listens to this and is like, wait a second, why is this guy always in our parking lot?
And are they willing to host a hot dog eating contest at their next game?
That would be funny. But like, I wonder if like they're looking at the cameras in the parking lot. They always see like a car drive up every Wednesday at like 11 or midnight or 1 or on 1 a.m. even sometimes, and they're like, "What's this guy doing? Just parking there for 15 minutes and then leaving? What is he doing?" Yeah, I am doing Rainmakers lineups. Jason saying Wisconsin's the worst for online betting. I have to drive too. I heard Wisconsin's bad from Alex, so I'll trade you. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, pretty much even. So I think it's an even deal. So Love to Eat says you would be a moron to trade for Ayuk and give him that money. Anyone could run a slant route. Yeah, I mean, he's been tremendous, but I do think he will be overpaid. I'll say that, but I wouldn't blame teams for trading for him though.
Yeah, the players do tend to look pretty good in that system. So if they go to somewhere like the Patriots, they're going to look mediocre by comparison every time.
Yeah. John's saying we can't even bet future MVP odds in New York. Might as well rename the state Nazi Germany. Well, you could bet some other stuff in New York, right? I don't know. Or maybe I'm wrong, man. I'm not sure. I do know New York has some weird betting laws, though. Groovy says, do you think some team will trade up for ahead of the Jets to steal Brock Bowers? I could see that happening. I could see maybe the Colts. They're the team that really sticks out to me because they need offensive playmakers outside of Pittman. They really don't have anything. I like Downs a little bit, but they need a number 2 option. Yeah.
There's plenty of options that could go there. We just don't know exactly who it's going to be yet. But there's a lot of talk about how much everyone loves Bowers as a top 10 option among the teams.
Yeah. OTC 5th round option was also highest on defensive tackles. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Mike saying New York is an authoritarian communist socialist totalitarian state. Yeah, I've been saying it's a communist stronghold, but I like yours much more. Quacky saying Byron Murphy over 14.5 plus 225. Byron Murphy I don't know what to make of this. Like, I feel like he can go as early as 9 and he can go as late as 21. You know, I feel like he's all over the place, this guy. Where do you have Byron Murphy?
I think there was a report a couple of weeks ago where there were people saying there's no way he's going to get past the Seahawks at 16. And there's a lot of people saying there's no way he's going to get past the Bengals. So that kind of feels like an area where it's hard to see him getting past. But there's going to be trades, there's going to be movement. He might fall, but there's such a high probability of him going above 14.5. I wouldn't bet it. Like, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's a reason that a lot of people are talking about him going in the top 10.
Mhm.
And because of that, there are going to be teams that are willing to trade up for him if they like him. So I don't think I'd go for that bet just based on the fact that there's so many reasons he could go higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before. Minnesota loves him. Like he can go 11 easily if Minnesota doesn't take a quarterback. But yeah, I mean, he could definitely go earlier than 14 and a half. So I wouldn't bet this. The number is good, but I don't know. So thoughts on Michael Pratt, the 4th round or higher. I have Pratt. I think I have Pratt in the 4th round. So I'm going to look real quickly on where I have him. What are your thoughts on this while I look?
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard because we really are getting into the how much a team's willing to reach up for a backup quarterback, and the answer is, well, it seems to be a little bit more than it used to be. I think teams are starting to recognize the value of having a reliable backup quarterback, and that could mean the mid-range guys rise up a little bit. The problem is that there aren't really that many good mid-range guys this year, so outside someone like Spencer Rattler, I don't know that you'd expect to see them on day 2. 4th round feels about right for him, though.
So his over under here is 135. I have him at 134. So it's you're right. Yeah. So I'm not gonna bet that one. Can anyone tell me why Jamie McCarthy is better than Michael Penix? Well, Penix he's 24 and he has an injury history, so that's why he's going to go later. Like if Penix was 21 and had no injury concerns, like I think he'd be top 3 conversation. But unfortunately, he has some negativity to him. But yeah, I'm not a McCarthy fan.
Yeah, look, he's a national champion. Don't you respect his national championship? No, like realistically, I mean, you can project McCarthy a lot more nicely. You can say, "Oh, we can work on his foot movement. Oh, when he gets more experience, he's going to be better." With Penix, after that amount of time, you kind of know what you're getting a little bit more. Like college coaches aren't useless. Those extra years in college do get players to improve. So you do have to take into account how many years they've been playing for in college as well when projecting players, and the teams do. Whether they're right to do that or not is another issue entirely, but I think there is a reasonable argument to say McCarthy's better than Penix. I don't think there's a reasonable argument to say he's better than someone like Daniels, though.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. So were they 10-1 to go to the Niners? I don't think I take this. Like I said, I think they go defensive line or offensive line. It seems like what they like to do. And they could take a receiver in the 2nd round. There are going to be a lot of good receivers in the 2nd round. So I like maybe like if this were Niners to take a receiver at like close to 10-1, I would consider it. But like it could be any receiver. It could be Worthy. It could be Coleman. It could be Leggett. Could be Franklin. Could be McConkey. It could be anyone. So like why just Worthy? I think it's a bad number.
Worthy's got such a range of possible outcomes that it just doesn't make sense to bet on him to a specific team.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Drake May is better than McCarthy. Yes. Agreed. Love to Eat says Murphy, not a stick in his shed, quick, explosive pass rusher. Yeah, he's super talented. Jason,
the issue with Murphy is that he's only 6 foot, and apparently there's teams out there that don't like the defensive line to be too short. So that might have something to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. Jason saying I want Bowers if we give up the 2 to move up for him. What do you think? Bengals have 2 threes anyway. Well, the Bengals, like I said before, the Bengals haven't traded up in the draft in the 1st round in 25 years. It's not what they do. So if they defy history and do it, sure, but I don't think they move up for him. Now, if he falls to 18 in some weird scenario, then I think that he would be the pick. From what I heard, they like him a lot, but they don't think he's going to be there at 18.
They don't exactly have a history of great tight ends ever since Tyler Eifert. So I can't see a reason why they do it. As much as I really wanted Sam Laporta to go there last year, in the 1st round, that just seems crazy when they really need to be protecting Joe Burrow a lot better.
Yeah, agreed. Pratt's a sleeper. I feel like I've been asked, like, who do you like in the mid rounds as a quarterback sleeper? I'm like, all these guys suck, except for Pratt. I guess Pratt, I don't know. So like just he's like the only one really. Jason saying if he wasn't injured in 21, he'd go number 2, no question. Well, I think Daniels maybe still, but I think 3. I think he'd be the favorite to go 3. I'm not sure about 2.
Although we'd have to have seen this amount of tape on him, and he'd have to be 21, and I don't know how that's possible.
That's definitely true.
Because go back and look at his tape from when he was 21, and he didn't look this good.
That's a good point. Yeah. Then again, he did play in Indiana. They didn't have much to help him there. So.
That's true. He probably wouldn't even be going in the first round back then. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was thinking like, oh, this guy's gonna be a good second rounder. Like that's what I thought of him back then. Quarterback under 4.5 all the way up to 3-1. We sure that there's someone taking Penix. We're not sure. We do know that the Raiders like him, but do they like him to take him at 13, or do they like him not enough and they'll take him in the second round or trade up into the back of the first round? They could do that. Charlie's been talking about that as well, so that could happen. Okay, so Drake May equals Jay Cutler. I don't know. I'm bad at player comps. But he is a low floor and high ceiling. Come on, chat, hit the thumbs up on. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Yeah. John saying Bengals trade up and party like it's 1999. All right, let's get to your mock. This will be the last thing we do. All right, so should I zoom in? Let me see how it looks on the screen.
You can go on slideshow, but then you can't get to the chat.
Okay, there we go. All right, so let's do one slide at a time. We have so Caleb Williams. Actually, hold on. Yeah, Caleb Williams number 1, Jaden Daniels 2, Drake May 3. You have the Vikings trade off for JJ McCarthy, which I was going to mention. Yeah, so like. Okay, yeah. So you had this. You said this. You had this in your mock draft. The what Dane Brugler was talking about, how the Austin Fort maneuver, trading down and then trading back up. Cardinals trading up for Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 6, Joe Alt at 7, Laiatu Latu 8, Rome Odunze at 9. The Colts moving up. I like that a lot, and then Brock Bowers at 10. Yeah, I think I really like this. I think that could certainly happen. All this. So like the real question is like, do the Cardinals take Neighbors over Harrison? So the talk like someone saying like Drecke was talking about that earlier, and then he was talking about Harrison. So like the Cardinals may have changed their mind. I just don't know what to make of that, but I think ultimately what I'm going to have happen is I'm going to have the Cardinals trading up for Rome Odunze, and I'm not going to project the trade in my mock draft. Actually, I have this now. I'm not going to project the trade with Arizona. I think I'm just going to slot Odunze at 11. And just hope that they move up a couple spots. The Bears trade down because they have to almost. But yeah. So yeah, I mean,
I should point out, by the way, that I made a mistake on that graphic, and that's meant to be the Titans at 7.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice.
Sorry about that. I did that in a bit of a rush, Savo.
I would not have noticed. So there you go. So yeah,
it is really hard to work out what to do with Odunze because we know someone's going to want to go and get him. But it's hard to work out who. I don't feel comfortable with having the Falcons trading back because they're trading back behind the Bears, who might take an edge rusher. So they're basically risking losing their player to move back a few picks. I don't know if that really makes sense. The Bears makes more sense to trade back, but teams are going to want to desperately get above that pick to make sure they can get him. So it's kind of like a catch-22 situation. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah, it's something to figure out for sure. So all right, so 11. So we have the Chargers going Latham. So yeah, so you had that. So I think that's the most realistic, is like they take Latham, but after trading down. You have the Eagles trading up for Quinion Mitchell. So I think the Eagles could trade up. They do that all the time. They can move up for a corner. I think tackle is possible. I think like Talise Fawaga, someone like that. But you have the Raiders taking Fawaga at 13. Olu Fashanu 14 to the Saints, makes sense. Byron Murphy here to the Bears, so they move down and get Byron Murphy. They got their guy. The Rams move up from 19 to 16. They get Dallas Turner, so that ends this slide. Yeah, so kind of have to figure out where to put Dallas Turner, but I think that's a good spot. Jaguars taking Terry and Arnold. That's something I'm going to have in my mock tomorrow. The Bengals going Troy Fatanu. I think they go Amarius Mims. But Fatanu has some injury stuff too. I think he could fall. And then Cooper DeJean to Seattle. Yeah, I think that's a good fit scheme wise. The Graham Barton goes to Steelers. They seem to like him. And then Johnny Newton to the Dolphins. I had issues figuring out where to put Johnny Newton. I think I'm going to happen to Detroit. It sounds like Detroit likes him a lot. But the matter is, like, is he going to get there? But in my mock draft right now, I have Newton falling to the Niners. So I'm like, yeah, I guess he could. So, but yeah, he could also go 21 as well. So, I like everything here. Like as I said, the only thing I'd change is Fatano to Mims, but everything else makes sense to me. Any want to add
I
anything?
don't feel really comfortable having Fatanu falling too far because he could go so high as well. So I'm kind of just sticking him in the middle of his range. But I agree, it's not really a great fit to the Bengals. I feel like he's more likely to go somewhere else. I think maybe on reflection, it might have made more sense to have the Seahawks taking him there potentially instead. I think we know that because Grubb's there now, it might be a fit for them there. So it just feels like that's sort of his range. But do you have him going a little bit lower than that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think that he might fall because of the injury question marks.
Yeah.
With him. And I think Dallas would take him.
Yeah.
So 22, Brian Thomas, you've trading up with so the team that moved out. So the Eagles. So you had
so Broncos went down with the Eagles, then went down again with
Broncos
the Bills.
moved down twice. Yeah. So Broncos moved down to 28. So yeah, Brian Thomas going to the Bills. You have Chop Robinson, number 23. To the Cardinals, got Tyler Guyton going to Dallas. I think he's the pick if Fatano's not there. Amarius Mims to the Packers. Michael Penix. So yeah, the Raiders trending up into the first round to getting Penix, and I think that's something that you could see. Darius Robinson, the Cardinals, love that. Jared Verse going to the Broncos. So you have them trading down twice. Interesting. Oh, so I wanted to ask you about this before after we get to these final four. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Number 29 to the Lions. I think he's the pick if Johnny Newton's not there. We'll see. Jordan Morgan to the Ravens makes sense. Jackson Powers Johnson to the Niners, and Kingsley Suamataia, the BYU connection with the Chiefs. So I wanted to ask you, like, with Jared Verse, like, any thoughts to like this being Bo Nix, like they trade down twice, or like what was the thinking with the Verse over Nix? Because not that I'm saying it's wrong or anything, but like I'm just wondering your
it's
thought
a bit of
process.
a couple of things. Like I feel like there is a really good chance the Broncos get something along the D line. I feel like Jared Verse belongs somewhere in the first round, so I'm kind of imagining a scenario where they managed to trade down twice, and because they've traded down twice, they now have a second round pick, and they can use that on Bo Nix. So it really depends on how much risk they're willing to take on. But I can imagine a situation where if they trade down far enough, they should be able to get two picks that are in the right range, and they can use the second one on Nix. So that's kind of what I'm projecting happening. But it's more of a case of I don't feel particularly comfortable putting Bo Nix in the first round, and I really wanted Jared Verse in the first round, and I kind of wanted the Broncos getting a defensive lineman. So it all kind of just fit together to make sense that way.
Yeah, I know the Broncos like Latu as well. But I mean, I think you're right. They want to trade down. They don't have a second round pick. It makes more sense for them to trade down. The last time you were on the show, I said that I heard that the Broncos were interested even trading up for Bo Nix. The person I heard that from, who's a reliable source, he said that's with Zach Wilson being there, that kind of like makes sure that they don't have to, because as I said, like, not that Zach Wilson is a great quarterback or anything, but like you could not sell the fans on Stidham and Ben DiNucci. Like no one would buy tickets for that. But like if for some reason they can't get a quarterback, I think they could sell their fans on Zach Wilson being like, hey, you saw what happened when Geno Smith left the Jets, went to Seattle. Maybe Zach Wilson could do that. Former number 2 pick, still has potential. He's still young. Come see our young quarterback, and he's going to be well protected here.
It makes sense. Bring your mum to the game day. Like it would be perfect. It would. There is enough reason there to get excited about it.
Right. I feel like they'll talk fans into backing Zach Wilson. Whereas like like in no world could they ever talk their fans into backing Stidham and DiNucci. So that the Broncos training up, I think, is dead. Now, if I don't know, if like some crazy scenario happens and like for some reason they love McCarthy and he falls, like maybe they move up 2 spots or something, but like I don't think they trade up otherwise.
Unless the Cardinals can't find someone else because the Vikings get spooked or something, that's the only situation I can imagine the Broncos go, well, we're willing to do it at least.
Yeah. Jason, I said that little bird come visit tonight. He spoke about Darius Robinson, if I recall. Um, yeah, I mean, Darius Robinson is still, I think, likely to go to Arizona. If Arizona gets number 23 and 27, they get 23 with the Minnesota trade. I would suspect that Jordan Morgan and Darius Robinson are the picks there. So we're drafting Kool-Aid. Johnson, our Bills fan, says we're drafting Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid mascot busts through the draft backstage and tackles Goodell. Detroit goes wild. I think everyone loved that. No one likes Goodell. John Sanders, you are nuts. It'll be fun though if he did that.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that thing with Detroit saying, "I know it's in Detroit, but we will happily trade out of the first round. We don't care if you're disappointed."
No, I haven't. I haven't heard that.
It was. I think it was their GM saying it. Like it was one of their senior people saying it. They're like, "We're going to do what we want to do. It does not matter that we're hosting." So that'd be interesting as well.
They traded down last year too, so they could do it. I feel like their fans would forgive them based on what happened last year. They went to the NFC Championship. You know, if they were still losing every year, then I think they'd get booed. But I think you have to respect what Bob Holmes has done in the front office. So, yeah, for sure. So, I guess that's about it. I don't. If you have unless you have anything else you want to add or you want to talk about.
I guess the only question is we're going to have a couple of guys miss out. Like in my draft, I've got Xavier Worthy missing out. I nearly had Jared Verse missing out. I've got Nate Wiggins missing out. I really wanted to have him go into the Cardinals, but I had to get Chop Robinson in there somewhere. It's really hard to fit those guys in the first round. From your perspective, which of those players that we kind of consider to be first round picks do you think are going to miss out on the first round?
I think Jared Verse won't go in the first round. Like we're talking about, it's tough to place these edge rushers. And they all seem to have problems for Latu. Even like Dallas Turner now with the medical stuff. Now, what if Dallas Turner falls out of the first round because of the medical stuff? Like, what if teams are just scared off by him? Because it sounds crazy now, but remember Jermaine Johnson, he fell from 9 to 26. Remember Jawan Taylor, he was supposed to go 9, he fell to like 30 something, or maybe even 43, 40 something. It's happened before. Top 10 potential falls out of the first round. I think Dallas Turner will go first round, but like if he fell out of the first round, I would not be shocked. So I think that's your long shot to fall out of the first round. But like some of the quote unquote favorites to fall out of the first round, which is like not really because a lot of people expect them to go first round. I do think Jared Verse is there. I think if the Ravens don't take Nate Wiggins, I think he could fall out of the first round. I think Xavier, you mentioned Xavier Worthy. I think there's a decent chance he falls in the first round. I'm like 50-50 on him to go first round. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. John say Chiefs are going receiver, Travis Kelce slowing down. I think the Chiefs could go receiver in the second round. That seems like the sweet spot for them. They always seem to like drafting receivers on day 2. Like Andy Reid loves the trenches. Like he loves going offensive line, defensive line first round. It's not like he's not a lock to do it, but I think it's like what he likes to do. So I think I would just go there. And Panthers asking medical is that bad for Turner? I mean, that's what Charlie reported. Some teams have flagged them medically. I don't know how serious it is, but this is new data that just came in to us. So I don't know if he wanted to reach out to Charlie on Twitter or something like that. Maybe he'll answer if he's looking. But yeah, I mean, like if players fall in the draft, it's almost always because of medical. Jawan Taylor fell because of medical. So it could happen. Like if teams flagged him, then they're just not going to draft them. So
yeah, makes sense, especially because we know that edge rushers are a little bit undervalued these days compared to what they used to be as well. It makes sense that teams would be scared off and would rather go for something they consider to be safer.
Mm-hmm. And I love he says I will pound this into table. Talent versus talent. Penix is equal to Williams. So I like Williams more. I do like Penix a lot. I think he's a really good prospect. But yeah, I mean the age and injury concerns are definitely real with him. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Kevin, for the $10 super sticker and the $20 super chat. Really appreciate it. And John, thank you for the $4 here. You guys are so great. Thank you so much for supporting us. Like I said, always say YouTube ads pay nothing. So this definitely keeps the show going for sure. So Ben, thanks for coming on. Love talking football with you always. Look forward to the next time you're going to be on. Do you want to plug anything? Maybe your site, if I could find it on one of these million tabs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's up there somewhere. We have no idea.
I found it.
Yeah, head over to ffdfantasyfootball.com. We've got heaps of stuff going on. Obviously, you got my mock draft, but we've already been through that. But got a heap of articles, got heaps of different recordings and videos that I've done. You can also head to our YouTube channel, The Fantasy First Down, after you finish watching all of Walt's stuff first, of course. You can hit me up on Instagram at The Fantasy First Down or on Twitter at Fantasy First Down with no O, and I will answer all of your fantasy questions, or really any questions, hot dog questions. Really, I'm easy. So yeah, look, definitely hit us up, especially once fantasy season comes around. Looking forward to coming back and definitely talking about the implications of what we learned into the draft for fantasy football with Wild. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, we'll have to have that hot dog eating contest at some point. Like you, Tom, and Alex will battle it out. Like by the time you guys are on your like 80th hot dog, I'll be on like number 2. But I will keep eating until the night and the next day. So I'll eventually catch up. So please like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that mean a lot to us. Also, check out ffdfantasyfootball.com. Also, buy your book, Jerks of the College Years. Any of this stuff would really help out. So I will be back tomorrow. Not a long show after the draft. I'll talk about my grades and everything and answer questions. And then, like I said, I've been saying before, no Saturday show this week because I'm going to be wiped out from the 4 rounds, rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. But I will be on Sunday instead. So if you guys want to hear the overarching thoughts on the entire draft, so I'll be on then. And then a normal schedule next week will be on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So Ben, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for everyone for watching and listening and commenting. Really appreciate you guys. And I will talk to you tomorrow and have fun watching the draft.